First of all, happy evening to all of you. And after the previous successful session, we are coming to another series. We have one of the industry leader, Mr. Augustus Ajaria. He is a HR leader in IBM. As you know, IBM is an illustrious history of more than 100 years, and it has nearly about 4.5 lakh employees, out of which 1.55 are in Bangalore, for your kind information. And there are 3 units. So he sits on a very, very hot seat. So just let me have the pleasure of quickly introducing him. Of course, if I get into the details, it will take 20 minutes. I will not venture that. I'll just take very quick brief with whatever I know about him. So he is currently working as Associate Director and HR Leader at IBM India. And altogether, he has worked with a variety of challenges. And one typical character of him as a HR leader is he always works to align the people's desires and also to the corporate goals, which is a very challenging task. So he loves challenges, you know. And second area of his interest is very deeply bringing in the employee engagement programs, because, you know, in a large organization like IBM, if at all you have to ensure the productivity and very strategic focus, what is important is ensuring the employee engagement so that they will remain productive and contribute to the organization success. So that is second foray. And third one is, I think all of you should be aware about CAMS, you know, CAMS. That is Cloud Analytics, Mobility and Social Analytics. This is one of the buzzword in the industry, what we call it as Industry 4.0. So he has been working in bringing the transformation into these CAMS technologies. That is how it is called in the industry. And of course, he is very, very passionate in driving the people and ensuring that they continue to be happy and make a very, very productive contribution to the organization. And he has a very special interest in one field, future of work. That is the topic for today. And please be informed that he is authoring a book on future of work. And I think he will have the much more deeper insights than this just 1 hour interaction. So he is working in varieties of fields. I'll not really take too much time except mentioning some of the HR areas which is very, very passionate and which he enjoys. Talent acquisition, performance management, HRIS, that is Human Resource Information System. As I mentioned, employee engagement programs. And of course, not to forget about the bread and butter of any industry leader, business strategy, and of course, leadership and change management and technical recruiting. So here I present Augustus. And Augustus, just to give you the quick background of our students, they are pan-India and they have just joined. We had the inauguration on 15th of this month. So they are just 2 weeks old. We have quite a bit of energetic questions, even when I was moderating one of the session. You know, Hiren in NHRD, last year treasurer, he took a session and that time they had a very interesting questions. And I think same thing will come today also. We'll try to help them in getting the broader perspectives. Over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nandish, for those very kind words. And you set a very high bar in terms of
No. Oh, I have told what you are.
I didn't speak anything, Augie.
Thank you,
that will
Richa.
go on for long.
Thank you, Richa. And yes, thanks, Richa and Professor Nandish for having me here. And I'm truly delighted to be here. I think this is the second time I'm addressing IBA, but the first time I'm doing it online, okay? So I've had the privilege of being in your campus and having taken a nice big tour of your campus. Very impressive place. I'm sure most of you would have been there before your admissions at least. But as situations improve, I'm sure that you will be able to get into your very, very nice and interesting campus very soon. And I'm talking to you, you know, at a time when, you know, in our history, when we're all confined to our homes and, you know, we've had to work remote or work from home, as you all would have heard, and how it has changed our lives when home was for living, but now there is what I would call an interruption to it, with the office also moving into the home. both for good, and there are also some challenges in there. I wouldn't say everything is hunky-dory, but I suppose we're all traversing that journey. So with that, I'm going to share with you, my experiences, some of my thoughts, and what are those things that I think could equip you to a very bright future. Don't get misled by the dark clouds that are out there right now. I should tell you that the hiring is now slowly on an uptake. Industries are moving in, with production challenges, and there is definitely a need for talent, younger talent, very much. So there are green shoots that we are seeing, and when you come into the workforce, I'm very confident that you will land a good job, and well, the ways of working could change, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about, right? About the future of skills, future of work, and the new ways of working. So allow me to share my screen. Stay with me. Okay. I hope the screen is visible.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, fantastic.
You can
Okay.
make it full screen, Augustus.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
what I did. Let me just get into present interview. Okay, there we go. So IBA, welcome, and we'll be talking about the new ways of working, skills, careers, and the future. When I say the future, I don't go with the future. I don't have a crystal ball. Neither do I have the intelligence to look at the stars in the sky and astrology and come and tell you what your future is. I define future by interpreting data and various other facts, and then distilling it into saying, okay, this is where I think we would be going as a business, right? So with that, IBM, I have to give some time to IBM where I work. And as Professor Nandish has said, we are a 108-year-old company, and we are into anything that you could see. When you're checking out of the supermarket, from the barcode reader to predicting weather patterns, to research, and in industry, be it in food processing or oil and gas, or even in terms of entertainment, be it the Wimbledon matches and the Grand Slam events where IBM, you would have been seeing it, and as well as in so many other areas. So we've kind of literally everywhere. Every time you do a bank transaction, everything goes through IBM servers, whether it's your NEFT or RTGS. Okay, so that's what we do, and we are headquartered in Armonk, New York, and we are, of course, one of the largest technology employers in the world with more than 300,000 employees. And we've just been close to $80 billion in revenue, that is 77.1 to be precise. And we have done a lot of investments in R&D. And that's the reason why we have been able to be one of the top companies, or rather, it has been the 27th continuous year of patent recognition and registration that we have been doing. The top patent registrations every year has been with IBM, and it's been more than 10,000 plus patents get registered every year. And needless to say, we've had 5 Nobel laureates, okay, that we have produced. So that is testament to the investment that we put in terms of people, technology, research, and development. And today, what are we? You must be knowing us more as a hardware company, but we transitioned or transformed ourselves into the cognitive era. Like the earlier introduction was said in the CAMS era. So we are today a cognitive solutions company. What we do is that we have great industry expertise, be it in healthcare, be it in industry or automobile and things like that. And then where we apply our data solutions and deep expertise using the Watson technology as well as the IBM Cloud Platform. And today, most of our revenues come in this space rather than our traditional hardware area. And how did this happen to be is because over the last few years, we transformed ourselves, investing more than $120 billion, okay, in our transformation journey. and then training and equipping teams, in terms of how we can be essential to the planet Earth, okay? And with all these things, what is more core to this is people. So when people are there, okay, you have growth, you have innovation, you have technology, and of course you have some disruption. So what happened here is that IBM, we said if we have to be essential, we should have a purpose. And what is that purpose? There were three purposes, and they are dedication to every client's success, as you can see here. And how did these three purposes come? The second one being innovation that matters, and the third one is closer home and trust and personal responsibility. And this is not something that our CEO dreamt of one night and came and wrote this slide. No, this happened over what you call a jam, a crowdsourcing initiative of IBM, where all or most of our employees over the course of 3 days came up with saying, what should be our defining purposes? What should be our goal? What should be our purpose? What are the values that will drive us? And with those values, what are those practices that we must demonstrate? So here you would see that there are three things that we call our purpose to be essential, and those are defined by three practices, okay? And all this was done by employees themselves through a crowdsourcing platform where they came and did this. So with that, we will go into seeing what is there for us. The World Economic Forum meets and they define what the future is. And for 2020, they came up with a report, and they came up with top 10 skills for 2020. Okay, now that we are past the second half of 2020, this set of skills is so prophetic, okay? Though it is based on data, it is so prophetic because, and I have highlighted in red the top 4 skills, okay? What is complex problem solving? Okay, complex problem solving and critical thinking go hand in hand, because today, let's say we have a lot of data, and this data could be coming from your YouTube or from your Facebook and various other sources, okay? And how do we convert this data into actionable insights, okay? That's where you need complex problem solving, where you can bring all the data, string them together, and then convert them into what are actionable insights. Like, for example, it could tell you who, in a marketing kind of a scenario, it could tell you who is positioned to go and, let's say, buy an iPhone, okay? And what are those behaviors or that person exhibited either online or through unstructured data for us to make that predictive analysis. So for this, you need data scientists and people who are able to think critically and apply themselves, to provide actionable insights to the business. This could not be possible if you didn't have creativity. Creativity and innovation again go hand in hand, because when you have people collaborate and come together, you have innovation, okay? And today why we are here is because of so much of innovation that has happened, including us sitting across thousands of miles and still collaborating and listening to each other. Last but not least is people. People, to my mind, are the most important part of any enterprise, right? So some organizations, or most listed companies come up with what is called an annual report. And in that annual report, you will say people are our asset. And sometimes I see the people are an asset is hidden in page 4. But today, people are an asset is emblazoned in bold right on the top, okay? Because with all this that has happened, the transition, the resilience, as well as the adaptability that people have shown, people in this post-COVID scenario are truly an asset for the organizations. Now, we'll have to take a walk down memory lane in terms of how was it before, okay? You need to know this because the evolution of the employee just didn't happen, okay? employment has been happening over centuries, all right? And in the past, we worked 9 to 5, but now we can work anywhere. And with collaborative tools, we can work anytime, anywhere, and you can even BYOD. Okay, what is BYOD? BYOD is not bring your own drink. BYOD is bring your own device. Okay, now you can bring your drink as long as it's juice and milk. All right. So organizations give you the freedom to bring your own device, and then what do they do is that they're given a target and said, okay, here's what is expected of you to deliver. So there is no supervisor or manager literally breathing down your neck, and nobody is telling you that, your next role is this. You create your own ladder. And no more are we going to be measured by our efforts, but we will be more measured by our results. Though efforts are definitely there, as far as appreciation goes, but your value will go as you continue to provide better results. Okay, and in a social environment, information is shared. It is not held by any one person. Okay, so that's right across the enterprise. And then we can listen, we can talk. All right. Now, your generation, which is probably the millennials, and then or the centennials among some of you, you don't hesitate to talk your mind out. Okay. So the workforce of the future, or the workforce presently, recognizes that and ensures that every voice is heard. It is not about seniority or superiority or age. Okay. Everybody is equal, and every opinion matters. Okay. And then, of course, our reliance is heavily on collaboration technologies. And last but not least is the importance of learning. Learning just doesn't happen in the classroom. Learning is a continuum, okay? And when I say learning is a continuum, which means that you don't just wait for your supervisor or manager or your faculty to tell you go and do this and that, but you have to go look at the trends and pick up what you think is correct. Now, to help you in this journey, IBM has something called the Skills Academy. So what does the IBM Skills Academy do? Okay, the IBM Skills Academy imparts skills basically for people to go into the workplace. So typically in this scenario, it is about a bridge from academia to industry. So we equip you with a set of skills. Even before you go in for your interview, you're equipped with a set of skills to perform well in that interview, and it also enables you to prepare yourself for the workplace of the future. So let's see, how does this work? Of course, it is technology driven, it's cloud enabled, and so on and so forth. But let's see how it works. Now, to quickly give you a look, this is how the IBM Academia portal looks. I will be sharing this presentation with Dr. Nandish and Richa, who can in turn share it with you, or give you some of the notes that you might want to see. So this is the portal where you can log in here with your college, and sometimes your college could be given a unique ID with which you can access a lot of programs completely free, okay? And then you can gain badges, certifications, and so on and so forth. Now, what all does the academic initiative cover, okay? Now, it covers all our technology, okay? From cloud to software, to whatever other courseware in this particular area. If you look at this chart, sorry, I'm going a little fast. This is where I would like to spend some time. So focus, while you're all management graduates, it's so important for you to also understand what is happening. What is blockchain? What are hyperledgers? How am I, as a management graduate or as a management professional, going to apply this using artificial intelligence? How do I engage with data scientists to enable me to interpret the data that is out there? And then with so much of private and confidential information that I have, how do I ensure cognitive security, which means that machines will learn and understand how to make the systems more and more secure, okay? Then comes the Internet of Things, like for example, IoT is today can be seen literally everywhere, all right? With people who are at home, some of them could be with comorbidities and not well. So the healthcare system today is monitoring people's blood pressure, people's blood sugar levels using IoT devices or patches on their arms or places like that, which in turn transmits that to a platform. And in that platform, they are able to manage people using IoT. This is just one of its uses, but there are myriad uses of IoT, okay? And all these things are hosted on the cloud, right? That makes it secure and that makes it much more easier and quicker for us. And last but not least is quantum computing, okay? Now, quantum computing in commercial applications is going to take some time, but it is the next big leap in technology that IBM has been leading, and that will again be another very big game changer for the way businesses will run. As management graduates, I think we should also learn design thinking. Design thinking is the ability to look at a problem and quickly align or come up with a solution, taking different perspectives and viewpoints, and that goes alongside what you will call an agile technology, okay, or agile management principles. All right, you will learn a lot more about this, but why I'm covering this is when you find books around all these things, I would say go pick them up or go into YouTube, understand what these things mean, and engage yourself and enhance your knowledge. We also have a program for faculty, okay? And we call it Reignite, okay? Reignite is so that we will be able to once again ignite that excitement. Though I see your faculty very much progressive and excited about the future, this is again a continuum so that faculty can come and understand where technology is going and how is it shaping the world and how can I equip our students to that world of the future. So this is there for faculty, and I'll be happy to share this with the faculty, with Professor and Richa. And then what does the media say? Well, one is IBM has been known to shape the future of talent. I myself have just completed more than 20 years in this company, and I've had about 6 jobs in this organization. And every time I wanted to change, there was a bigger challenge or a bigger role for me or a more complex role where I moved in. And that could not have been possible without my investment in my own talents, okay? And here's what you have Forbes and Harvard Business Review and HR Executive and Bloomberg telling us that IBM, how it has changed the future of talent, okay? With that, I want to quickly go into what is the future of work. Now, before I go into that, let me see, okay, we're at 4:25. I'll take 5 minutes to tell you a true story, okay? And this true story is about the future of skills, all right? Now, about a few months ago, just that the name of this person is changed, okay? Just like some of you who probably have work experience and then joined a management college and then went back to work for the industry, was this lady called Rukmani with about 3 years' experience. As soon as she came out of college as a campus recruit into one of the large IT companies, she grew phenomenally. She did extremely well in her job. She was seen as a very good technical leader. Her team members recognized her and looked up to her. And she also gained the accolades from her clients. And clients also gave her letters of appreciation and awards. So Rukmani was very happy. She also managed to travel across the world to certain countries with this company, providing solutions to the business and also getting new business to the organization. And then what happened is that the organization shifted its business strategy 2 times that year. And one fine day, as Rukmani, her name is Rukmani, by the way, as Rukmani came into her office, she has a letter out there saying, a message out there saying that please meet your manager. So Rukmani is wondering what this is about. And then she goes to meet with her manager because this is a little unusual on a Monday morning. So the manager orders her a cup of coffee. After some pleasantries, they start talking, and then the manager says, "Rukmini, you're such a great performer and employee. And you also know that our organization, because of market dynamics, has changed its business strategy 2 times this year. And therefore, when we are looking at your skills and the alignment of our business strategy, we see a big gap. And we see that, in the next 3 months, we may not be requiring your skills, or your job will become redundant." So this is a big shock for Rukmani, and she goes back, quite crestfallen and dejected, and then goes home early because nobody has ever spoken to Rukmani so straightforwardly, okay, in such a straightforward manner. And after some time, she decides to get back to work the next day. She again comes to work, rides the elevator, goes to her seat, and then there she sees on her monitor message that says "click here." So with a lot of trepidation, Rukmani goes and clicks there. And what happens here is the unraveling of a new talent journey. Okay. Now, talking about a journey, for some of you who have traveled transatlantic and you've taken a flight, right in front of you on the seat back, you find a television screen. Okay. And that screen tells you what is time elapsed since your takeoff and what is time to destination. In between, it also tells you what you are flying through, right? You're flying through mountain peaks or hills and valleys and oceans and deserts and meadows. So similarly, for Rukmani, what comes in front of her is her whole career transition journey in terms of what are the peaks that she has to climb, what are the hills that she has to traverse, what are the oceans she has to swim to gain certification, to gain agility, and also to gain certain badges for her to become relevant. So in right earnest, she goes and applies herself and onto this journey. And during this journey, she also realizes that people are doing a lot of things socially, on Facebook and LinkedIn and all that. So she goes and tries to improve her eminence on some of these websites and platforms. And then now it is time for Rukmani to also recollect that somewhere she heard that skills is the new currency. So how can skills be the new currency? So in her own interpretation, she says, apart from what my organization is doing to give me this particular journey, I will go and up my skills by investing in myself. So she also goes and invests in her skills and gets certain certifications and badges. By now, it is time for her to complete, and she starts getting congratulatory messages, both on social media and from other channels, saying that, Rukmani, you have completed this certificate, you have earned this badge, you are relevant now, you are part of the future skills, and so on and so forth. So, and then finally, her manager also says, Rukmani, this is fantastic transition in making yourself relevant. So I'm so happy to offer you a job here in continuation of your employment here, because we just landed this project and nobody could fit this opportunity more than yourself, Rukmani. So please come and take on this project. And then Rukmani now has also gained social eminence, right? She's on LinkedIn and people are now seeing her profile and things like that. They also know what is her background and so on and so forth. And so she tells her manager, hold on, Mr. Manager. I did some bit of soul searching, and then I realized that while I would like to continue to work on this particular project that you're giving me, I'd like to also take up that opportunity with this airline company that is giving me this job. And that actually resonates better with my value system. Okay, so go back into my few charts that I talked to you about, IBM values and things like that. So she says this resonates with my value system. And what is that value system? The value system is that I care a lot about this planet and about clean air, and therefore I'm joining this airline company so that I can code in Java for them to reduce their carbon footprint. So airlines being the most polluting industries of the world, okay, I can help reduce the carbon footprint and therefore make air much more breathable for our future generations and for the life of this planet. And that resonates with me and my purpose in life. So what she has realized now is that her purpose needs to resonate with what the business goal is. So she says, so the manager says, okay. So now, apart from doing that, what has she become? She has become a gig worker. So she works here regularly. She also works another 2 days with this airline company, providing cutting code in Java. And then she spends a lot of her free time doing whatever she wants to do. Okay. So typically, Rukmani has landed as a gig worker. So to cut the long story short, okay, learning is a continuum. The moment you stop learning, you become redundant. And once you become redundant, it's going to be very difficult for you to gain the career velocity or the traction to continue your trajectory into growth. Okay, so that is important. The second one is look around you and see where the industry, where the world, where your business strategy is going, and align what you're doing alongside it. Last but not least, invest in yourself. Career is not with your supervisor, faculty, or manager. Career is in your own hands. So that, in a nutshell, my friends, is the journey of a person who was just a few years senior to you, but who could have very well fallen into that pit of redundancy. But instead of that, was able to transcend the challenges that are there that we see every day, day to day. Okay. And she used to come to a place like this, and this used to be considered a workplace. To me, this picture looks fairly boring. Then what about this? That was there only in Feb of 2020. Okay, this was how my office looked in February of 2020, a few months before, all right, hardly 5 months back. But our future workplace is going to be looking like this, right? We work from anywhere, but we work together using collaborative technologies, okay? So sky is no more the limit. And for us to do that, it's just not your college degree that is going to take you there. You have to gain those skills, you have to gain those life skills, and you have to invest in yourself because skills is the new currency. And when I say skills is the new currency, it's you can equip yourself using knowledge on demand, okay? While the number of people with college degree is going high, informal education is also high, as you can see, right? Like learning on the job. And today you have so many startups, right? How are startups thriving? Startups are thriving because within the system, one is there is a lot of investment that is going. Apart from that investment, there is the ability or the acceptance for failure. There is a higher level of tolerance today in the system for failure than it was before. So you have what is called a fail fast mentality. You go do what you want. If you succeed, you move on. If you fail, well, throw that up and move on to the next thing. So you don't really flog a dead horse. And there are organizations or venture capitalists who are able to fund good ideas that can be taken into the world and made a business success. And we are able to see a lot of those ideas, right? Be it with Uber or with Flipkart or Amazon and so many other things that I can see. Swiggy, Closer Home, Zomato, and so on and so forth, right? Look at the knowledge on demand where you are able to get coaches online, okay? You're able to organize or even view webinars, you know, maybe at a cost or free. And then how is performance managed? What are the new ways that your manager will be using to evaluate your performance? Okay. Do you need an appointment letter, you know, basically, or you will be able to sign your own appointment letter and write your own paycheck? You know, that's where the future is heading. And needless to say, more and more people will be autonomous workers as against being engaged with one organization for a lifetime. You know, they could go work for multiple organizations or they could be from different disciplines, but because of their investment in knowledge, they are able to move like this. And it is something similar to movies. I'm sure a lot of you have watched movies, right? What happens in a movie? Okay. Now, for a movie to happen, you will first need a script. Somebody writes a script, and then That script writer goes and finds a producer or a director, and that director producer says, yeah, this is a story that can, click on the box office. So let me go and find myself the right hero, the heroine, the actors, and various people who go into it, the dancers and the musicians and cinematographers, photographers, and technicians and the likes. Okay, so what happens is that they all come together, right? Because they have one common objective. They're all independent individuals who could be a photographer or a casting director. They all come together to work on this very, very unique project. Okay, be it in Bollywood, Hollywood, or Hollywood, all right? So this is very time bound. They work on this project, and then at the end of the project, at success, they can the project and then give it, and then they get paid. Okay. Now, what happens after they get paid? They go their separate ways. What happens if the movie bombs? Well, if the movie bombs, it's their reputation that is at stake. What happens if the movie is a hit in the box office? If it's a hit in the box office, what happens is that they share, they get a royalty. So similarly, in the future of work, you can be anywhere, okay, having a particular skill or a competency, and then you will be found using social media, and there will be project managers or teams like this director who will put these teams together across time and space. And then you will come together, finish that project, and then go your separate ways. You will get paid once, and you will also be paid royalty if that particular product or project or whatever you're going to be working on is a success. Okay, so that's how it is evolved, and it's a completely whole new paradigm in terms of employment. Why I call it a paradigm is because employment laws will change. The way we look at things will change. Okay, just like we have adapted to a COVID-19 situation, we continue to adapt to the new ways of working, which is no more local. Okay, it's not within the town of Ranchi or Mysore or Bangalore where you're going to be living. Okay, the future of work is across political boundaries. It's no more limited to where you live because the competition is very high. Okay, and today with the working from home, people are getting more and more opportunity. Those people who are living in small towns and could not go and live in big towns because of certain things are today part of the talent market, and they are providing the competition for the work to be done from anywhere. So the future of work that I have to tell you is highly competitive. All right. So with that, why should you consider something like this? One is you have more freedom and power, your earning potential, you could write your own check, and employers have a larger pool. And like I said earlier, career is in your hands. It's not with employers because you are part of a very, very young workforce. And that young force today is in a world which is growing old. The rest of the world is aging, whereas India is going to be having one of the youngest workforces in the world, which means that 1 in 4 people who are going to be working from the next year onwards will be an Indian. Okay, so look at the kind of opportunity that is there. Now, this is in spite of us coming back to work or from the office or things like that, the COVID scenario and so on and so forth. All right, so right now it is a time for us to pause, not stop. We pause, we take perspective, and then we go into what the future holds for us. So you are today at a point in the future where you can go and prove yourself, earn to a huge potential, and things like that. Now, the future of work would not be possible without even knowing what is employee sentiment. All right. With the current situation that we have, how do we know that our workforce is well? Okay, well-being is very important, both physical well-being as well as emotional well-being. And there are ways to find out what is the sentiment of people. Now, I can see so many of you are actually watching this webinar, but how many of you are actually engaged? Okay, using sentiment analytics. By the way, I'm not using it here on this Zoom. Using sentiment and analytics, we can understand how many people are engaged. What are those things that are engaging them? what as a speaker, how authentic am I speaking? Okay, so I will get a red button if I said something out of turn, or what I said was not true or factual. Okay, and then for people to come to work, it's so important to understand what is somebody's sentiment, and therefore the manager can provide the job or the assignment for that day or that week or that month to that person based on each and every person's situation. So what happens here is that you can do a very good balancing of work. And all this could not be possible because you're going to be having audio video, or what you call virtual reality and augmented reality. Okay, sitting at home, for all you know, in the future, if this continues, you could have a holographic image of your professor itself out there. Okay, you can go and explore the universe, using AR, VR. Okay, and a lot of you are probably familiar with it. And then in terms of technology, we can use facial recognition. The camera in front of you could have the cornea, which is cornea reading, which is smart, which can tell us what is the level of engagement that you have. Okay, also in terms of evaluation, okay, if the evaluation is done remotely, it can very clearly say how truthful or how honest is this person in terms of doing that exercise. This is not about trust. This is about where all technology can be used. But of course, it has to be good tech used for a good purpose. All right. So with that, I have to tell you that the future of work that we are seeing today is A, transparent, B, flat, C, as you can see it out here, and then the future of work is you. You are in the middle of it. All right. So with that, I have to quickly, take a few more minutes to talk to you about what the workplace of the future is going to be. What are the key considerations for team members to get started with remote working? You'll be wondering, hooray, it's like this. What kind of office am I going to be getting into? So firstly, we'll look at why organizations or employers look at remote team members. Some of them look at them because of financial constraints. Some of them because they think that thought and leadership innovation is so important. The access to a talent pool, new markets and businesses, and also large teams that cannot be housed in a particular location will have to be distributed, and also maybe to curb or cut down on travel and time. And of course, today we have the unplanned travel and COVID restrictions. Okay, these are some of the reasons why we have remote team members. Now, look at the journey that one of us has taken. Take, for example, my own journey. All right, 3-4 months ago, we were in a crisis or chaos situation. We didn't know how to respond or react to a situation like this. But we dug deep into our ability to see into the future, and we adapted ourselves to the crisis situation and kind of neutralized it. Okay, with the lockdown and all, we said, okay, we are able to now neutralize it. We can do the mopping, we can wash the loose, we can do a little bit of cooking, and we can also take care of the children and the household work, and so on and so forth. So we became crisis neutral. But the journey here is to equip ourselves to face any crisis in the future, and to be responsible during that time of crisis, so that businesses can continue to run. God forbid something else happened next. We are not going to go into this kind of a lockdown or hibernation if we become crisis resilient. That crisis resilience happens with tools and technologies which we currently have, which will take you to that maturity level. So typically when you come into the workforce, you would probably come into any one of these stages that you see out there on your screen. And when you come into your office and swipe your card, this is the image that could be seen out there. Okay, using sentiment analytics and various such things, it would make sure that you are COVID safe. COVID safe means you're entering an environment which is desanitized and things like that, sanitized and things like that, and you yourself are in a very good, healthy situation. Okay, so using deep learning and algorithms, we are able to make this kind of a prediction into our systems to make sure that the workers who are coming in are seen as essential, and what are those things that essential workers need to do. So quickly, in terms of what are the key considerations while working remotely, is that there are dedicated workspaces, which means that, tell you, the focus is to ensure that you have a seat that is good, that keeps your back safe, all right? And then you have clean air to breathe, all right? Whether it is your home or your office. And you don't go and make yourself stressed out with work, okay? So that there are enough breaks, you have some time to relax and rejuvenate yourself, and there is some kind of separation between work and home. And then your physical and psychological safety, which means your emotional well-being. So some of us, could even get very stressed working from one place. There are 3 generations in a home now. There are grandparents, parents, and children. It's great to have everybody together 24 hours a day. But believe me, families are also great in terms of arguments. What are arguments get us together? Arguments sometimes also go the wrong side. And therefore, there is such a great need for emotional, what you would call well-being. And therefore, organizations provide employees some counseling and things like that to overcome certain emotional challenges that they have, including physical challenges. Today, a lot of organizations are covering their employees for even COVID-related insurance cover, okay? So in terms of their duty of care. Every one of us may not have a beautiful coconut tree in the background while we are talking. So we have to be proud of the settings that we have. Even if it's a old bookshelf that I have behind me, I have to make it look nice and be comfortable in the area that I am in, and at the same time maintain and retain my privacy. Okay. So what are these remote ways of working? We will look at it in the next chart. Okay. So if you look at it, here are the technology and tools that one needs to use when you come into this new ways of working. For information and storage, you have Dropbox and Google Drive, and then I use Slack as well as Jabber for instant messaging. Then we are already on Zoom. I use the others, Hangouts and WebEx very extensively. And of course, collaborative tools. And there is so much more. It is just not restricted to this. But last but not least, as I'm speaking to you for the last 40, 30 or 40 minutes, you would also get video fatigue. If I'm doing 3 or 4 programs like this today, or if Professor Nandish is doing 3 or 4 programs today, we all get very video fatigued. So we have to be very, very sensitive to those kind of things and see how we can work in those scenarios or study in those scenarios. All right. So one is you have to work at non-verbal cues that you can see out there, facial expression, tone of voice, body language. All this we could do when people were there in front of us. But we will have to gain these kind of skills to be able to be more effective. Okay. And just being silent means you're going to be lost. So make yourself heard while you are on a call. All right. That doesn't mean don't make a nuisance of yourself, but make yourself heard very well. Okay. And sometimes your responses, now we're all not the same, right? Some of us are late bloomers. That's okay. But it's important that you feel comfortable and not make the other person feel uncomfortable that they are being watched all the time, So you have to make it a lot of fun, reduce video fatigue, and also make sure that you have some breaks or happy hours that you take afterwards. And as a student or as a teacher, you need to be very good at communication also. So if this is an area that is a challenge to you, please work on that, because, icebreakers can diffuse anxiety, can make people feel free, can get them to focus more on what you're doing. It helps you to build a rapport and a relationship. And also, it builds good teams or good collaborative stuff. And it should be a lot of fun. Okay. And then you have to take a pledge. Like I took a pledge at IBM. We took a pledge like this. We said, we pledge to work from home during this time, to be family sensitive, okay, flexible for personal needs. And if somebody is not camera ready, be sensitive to that, stay kind, set boundaries, prevent video fatigue like I told you, be proud of your surroundings, and then check in on people. You know, sometimes technology creates a big gap, but don't do that, but make sure technology bridges that gap, okay? And that you use high tech to have high touch, okay? So with that, I would like to close and also tell you that we come from a land of spirituality, okay? And every day I delve into my spirituality. Every morning I'm down on my knees asking my maker to help me, because if you go and walk our streets every day, there are bells ringing, there are people seeking the truth, okay? And to me and to my success, I owe my whatever I am today to my level of spirituality. And if you can also practice it, it will be great. With that, thank you very much, and I wish you all great success as you embark on a fantastic journey of learning in this great institution, IBA, with some amazing teachers, professors, and friends on your journey. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Augustus. That was really an illustrious insight. Richa, would you like to take?
No, I think great. I mean, it was a great presentation for me as well, looking at the pledge that IBM has taken, something really new and insightful. Just a quick question. I mean, you're an expert on future of work, Augie. And for last 20 odd years, you have been seeing graduates, postgraduates, and whatnot coming your way, working with IBM or any other organization, seeking your mentorship, etc. Just 2 cents on to the batch passing out in 22, which is 2 years from now, approximately 22 odd months. That what should they be doing? So you gave a perspective of what the future of work would be for them. But from an industry perspective, what would you expect if you were to be 2 years from now, from a student from IBA or any other institution to work with you? So what should they be doing? Yeah.
Yeah. So presuming that you're professionally very well qualified, I would look at your ability to adapt to changing situations. Okay. And then, of course, we would be looking at collaborative mindset, collaborative skills. All right. Apart from that, I think it is the ability to, apart from adapt, you know, it is also your innovation. So you have to come up with more and more things and ideas as to how a particular problem can be solved in a different way. The future is also going to be how diverse and inclusive you're going to be. You're going to have multi-generational workforce. How do you work alongside people who are more than double your age? How do you work alongside people who are just coming into the workforce? How do you respect authority or respect ideas, not authority? There's no authority. Everybody is going to be equal in the workplace of the future. What will define you is what you bring to the table. So to cut a very long story short, I think it's adaptability, your innovative spirit, and your mindset to be inclusive and diverse. Thank you.
Okay, before I take the question from our faculty colleague, students, if you have any questions, go to the Q&A bar and you ask the questions, and then I will be posing it across to Augustus. See, Augustus, one of our faculty colleague, Professor Murali Deshpande, he teaches business analytics and IT. His question is how to measure the productivity from work from home when compared to the traditional productivity measurement in the office.
Yeah, brilliant question. Thank you so much, sir. We have been able to various jobs have a very clear deliverable, okay? And those deliverables are very clearly defined, you know, by managers, by milestones and things like that. And I have to tell you that working from home in terms of effort is not the same effort as you put in an office. In an office, you have a much larger bandwidth. You have people, you're someone you can walk across the desk and query somebody if you are stuck. So it might take a longer time for, first of all, for people to deliver. Okay, and we are seeing that trend. How do you measure productivity? Productivity is measured clearly by that person meeting those milestones. All right. Now, if you take, for example, a tech support role, a tech support is somebody who comes and wears a set of earphones, and then there are various calls that person takes. Somebody says, how do I load this new software onto my laptop, or how do I change my password? My password got locked, and so on and so forth. So there are, let's say, 100 queries like that. It's how quickly that person has been able to answer those in a very quantified manner. Okay, this you can very clearly quantify. But there are various other jobs where you cannot really say that I am measuring productivity like this. Okay, so to cut a long story short, certain jobs, certain functions, it is clearly defined in terms of what are the productivity objectives and what they should deliver. But certain things we are still learning. Believe me, we got into this just 3 or 4 months ago, and we don't have answers. We're all learning. Okay. So to answer your question, there is a very well-defined way of doing it, but it is evolving.
Okay, I have a question, Augustus. I am referring to your learning digital L&D initiative, which IBM is very, very aggressive in that. And in fact, forgive me if my data is not up to date. As on December 2019, almost 22 million hours of learning was consumed by the IBM employees. What is the latest learning consumption in last 5-6 months? We would be happy, and probably that will help the students also to understand.
Fantastic. I think first I should commend you on the data, and I myself didn't know that was
I'm
so
a fond follower of IBM as a company because earlier I have handled IBM partnership with my previous assignment, so I have the data and I am a serious learner.
Fantastic, thank you, sir. So apart from telling you so many million hours of learning, I'll tell you what was the impact it had on our business. Okay. So once your learning was the digital learning, which I told you the Rukmani story. That was the digital learning that we have, which means that it is more of a Netflix style of learning, right? So you are thrown what you have interest in, okay, and then you could quickly rip and read it, and then you get certified or get a badge in it. So once we moved to your learning, our engagement went up considerably, by more than 7 points, I think. Okay, and apart from the engagement going up, we found that managers were spending less time in trying to tell people to go and do a particular program. People now were very self-motivated. They were driven. As against a push factor, now there was a pull factor. And that drove our learning hours, like you're saying, those 22 million hours, and that converted into better engagement, and better engagement converted into a higher level of profitability in the bottom line. Thanks. So that's the importance of learning for the organization. If I didn't.
Yeah. Any other question, Richa?
No, I think he covered quite things and very relevant to the students, 2 weeks old postgraduate students. I think we covered all of it, and maybe if students have anything, they can connect with him over LinkedIn, or if he's comfortable having a message there. So depends.
Okay, before students come out with question, can I take one more question, Agi?
Definitely, sir.
Yeah, I'm referring to your IBM C-suite study 2019 findings. Especially what I'm really keen to understand out of that 4 takeaways, dancing with disruption and transformation in the journey, which is more personalized, and using a lot of digital platforms, and of course, more of innovation, which is in motion. What is your take in innovation and motion, especially on the future of work, which you, of course, have elaborately discussed on it?
Yeah, I think one of those things that you would have seen there is about treasuring wild ducks. Okay. What is this about treasuring wild ducks? Okay. It is about somebody who could on your team have a completely different viewpoint. Okay. Very wild. So that's why if you see in one of our values, we say we should treasure wild ducks, because in that C-suite study also it very clearly says why it's so important to go for people with that wild sense of imagination. Okay. And to tell you beyond that, today we wouldn't be having the smartphones in our hands if Steve Jobs didn't go that route, if he didn't start with what he started, right? So treasuring wild ducks is so much more important. And that is very well articulated in the C-suite study as to why we should look at people who have a completely different viewpoint.
Thank you. Thank you for that insight. How much time do you have, Augie?
No, that's it, sir. I think Augie was wanting to be even shorter and crisp.
Yeah, probably he had an excitement because, you know, there is one commonality on a lighter note. IBM and IBA, first two letters are commonly. 70% sync has happened there itself.
Yeah, correct. And also, once you told me that this is a class that is coming in, I thought a story would be more appropriate. So I didn't have the story in mind, so I slipped it in. So that probably took me to the...
No. It was
that
amazing.
was nice.
You know,
It was
Rukmini's story has stolen the show, even in my heart, honestly.
Thank you.
You know, stories always connect the people. That is very obvious.
All right. So if you don't have any more questions, maybe we can.
Richa, would you like to take thank you note?
No, sir. So you go ahead. I keep.
Okay.
We keep.
You are very comfortable today. You know, okay, fine. That does not matter. Age, it's very great having you here, and I'm definitely sure our students have probably been able to get the broad overview. I can say 30,000 square feet view on what exactly they have to design their career. You have done a fantastic insights. Especially, I'm sure learning in continuing with Rukmini's story will definitely go a long way.
Yeah.
And probably even after they complete PCDM, they will remember that Rukmini story. So that's how I would look at it. And most important lesson which you said is, which appealed to me, probably it would have been the same case with our all students, invest in yourself. Probably that is one great thing, and they have 22 months ahead of them. And making best use of all the digital platforms. You brought it very beautifully, especially that pledge of IBM, becoming sensitive and respectful for others who are not able to pace with. That's an amazing story. Of course, everyone has listened. So thank you very much for taking time and joining. And probably once the things settle down, and we request you to come and talk to them in a more greater detail, probably.
There was one question to the very fag end. Oh, it came up. Can you explain the resource sourcing process in IBM?
Okay, I would take that offline. I have another call waiting for me at 5 o'clock, if you don't mind.
Sorry. Yes, I'll send across this question.
And I will share it across with the students when I have a session. Something like
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Augie. Take care.
Thank you, Augie. Have a great time.
Thank you.